All right, I'd like to call this Town of Cedar Lake Planning Commission public meeting to order, April 21st, 2021. Please stand, pledge the flag. Mr. Carnahan, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chuck Becker.
Here.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Heather Duskauer. Present. John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp.
Here.
John Capera.
Present.
Jerry Wilkeny.
Here.
Donald Oliphant.
Here.
David Ashton.
Present.
Jill Murr. Present. Terry Knowles. Rick Everly.
Present.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 17th, 2021 public meeting and the April 7th, 2021 work session and the April 7th, 2021 special public meeting?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Foreman to
Second.
approve. Second by Mr. Kapor. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Heather Duskauer. Yes. Chuck Becker.
Yes.
John Capora.
Yes.
Jerry Wilkeny.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Town of Cedar Lake Planning, let's see, item number 1, this is, preliminary plat preliminary plat and final plat for one lot subdivision and site plan. The owner is Rob Henn, 13733 Wicker Avenue. The petitioner is Russ Posen, 1155 Troutwine Road, Crown Point. The vicinity is 13212 Wicker Avenue. They're requesting preliminary plat, one lot subdivision, final plat, one lot subdivision, and site plan.
Hello, Jack Halls from DBG representing the petitioner. Russ Posen is the Director of Engineering at DBG, that's why his name is on the petition. As you noted, there's 3 requests here. One is for a preliminary plat, and then the final plat, and then the site plan that relates to the improvements that are being proposed on that one lot. I believe everything has been reviewed with the town engineer, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Mr. Austin, everything's good with this so far?
Legals are in order.
Figures in order? Okay. Mr. Oliphant, I know you've been crunching the responses.
Yeah, we got a resubmittal today, so we'd like to, we wanted to get all the stuff out of the way from our letter yesterday. So we're down to 4 contingencies effectively. One is just them continuing to coordinate with NDOT if they need to do anything else with the widening project in 23 or 24. The second one, they're requesting basically the utilization of existing screening along their western property boundary. Right now, it's a combination of an existing wooden enclosed fence and a row of arborvitaes up towards the right-of-way. Number 3 would be, there's reasonable certainty that NDOT's going to correct some of the drainage in this location. They kind of call this their urban section, and they're supposed to be correcting the drainage. We haven't seen any kind of plans. I don't think they're that far along on their process, but there's certainty, reasonable certainty that they're going to correct it, and if that's the fact, we would basically withdraw our recommendation for the applicant to replace that pipe. And then they've requested signage along 41 and lighting of that signage to be reviewed at building or occupancy permit, because they don't know the extent of it yet. But those would be our 4 conditions.
Okay. So the screening that's existing to the west, who owns that?
I believe that's on the parcel.
I think it's owned by the residential.
Yeah, I think the fence might be.
Okay.
It's right on the line. You can, well,
That's a good place for a fence, is right on the line.
thinking about it.
So let me jump to the the storm sewer that you were talking about.
There's a fronting old 12-inch storm sewer, which is kind of the headwaters of a system that's pretty terrible, that runs north. Well, you can kind of see it. I'll try to mark it out. That line. So arborvitaes are up on the north section, and then it turns into a fence all the way down to their southeastern property corner, down here. So it's fully along their property line. I don't think it's going anywhere,
That's perfect.
so.
Okay, then the stormwater, that you were talking about, if that doesn't get taken care of now, who does that belong to later?
So, it's not too far off the right of way. It's only 7-8 feet off the, edge of pavement right now. So, unless they decide to basically put the road over it, which I highly, highly doubt they'll do, they're gonna have to rip it out and restore it. So,
It runs north and south along the
Around
property's
the
east line,
US 41
so
frontage.
along the 41 frontage. And so when the state
Yeah,
does that work, which I believe was kind of earmarked for the 22 construction season, so that work will be.
23 or 24. 23 is likely,
We're in
Okay,
the
so then we'll
23,
bring it up.
24
Yeah.
now.
23 of the utility work going forward.
Okay.
so it'll likely be replaced at that time.
that's your professional opinion,
Yes.
and so it's good for now.
Yes. I mean, like I said, we haven't seen in-depth engineering, 'cause they're still kind of going through parcel acquisition and, you know,
And-
coordination with municipalities, but I think it's gonna have to go.
And none of that's gonna cause a problem with the retention pond that's going to be, in the
No,
northwest corner?
they will connect into it for this project, and they'll likely just tie that into whatever system they put in as part of the NDOT project.
Okay.
They'll have to tie it in.
Don, can you move up to 131st? Just to give you any comfort level, Mr. Chairman, I did speak to, Stephen Summers of the Troyer Group, design engineers for the NDOT project, and we were specifically talking about this intersection here and their plans for it. They plan to widen that because this is a very narrow street, period, that it's hard to get two vehicles in and out of here at the same time, so they're gonna widen that. But my point is just this, he indicated that that NDOT is going to be improving the drainage along this frontage, which is about a block north from where, the garden property is, so. My
Did he,
impression is they're gonna do some, comprehensive stormwater,
but you don't know the extent of it, north or south?
no, we were just talking about that
Then,
particular.
then I guess,
Hey, Rick, Mr. Chairman, can I ask Rick a question?
yeah, go ahead.
Did NDOT say, how far west are they going with the widening?
They're going 6 feet on either side of existing pavement according to the plans and according to Mr. Summers.
I see, thanks. I missed
No,
those meetings.
yeah.
So one more question, Rick, while we're on this. I'm sorry for getting off subject. Which way do they plan on running that water?
Well, I'm told it flows north
Goes
now. So that, I didn't specifically discuss that with, Stephen, but, I actually discussed that with the, property owner here, and she informed me that it does indeed flow north to south.
Yeah, it's drained somewhere.
South to north, yeah.
I got a question.
And we all know, hang on, and we all know how that went.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Becker, yes, sir.
Sir, anyway, since they're talking 23, 24, is there any way we can have them pay into a bond in case they don't do it? That way we have the money right there, do it, and obviously they do it, they get their money back.
This is a state project, it's not a town.
But I'm saying technically, they're supposed to improve that pipe. But I'm saying
It would,
if they're talking about improving and widening the road 3 or 4 years from now,
I don't know why you couldn't do a letter of credit for it, so.
that's.
You know,
that's a good idea too.
That's an option, I guess, guys, but it's existing building today. The non-pervious surface that we have today is essentially what it's gonna be, plus they're building a retention pond, so it's probably a waste of time for us to even write up, execute, pay legal, everything else, just
What happened? Something
run with the letter that Don commented on, and 22 will be here, 23 will be here before
Well,
we
they
know it.
agreed to clean it out, right?
Yeah, they're gonna clean it according to your letter. Or is this the DVG letter?
That's DVG's response letter,
Ah.
I think.
Well, we're trying to avoid the leftovers,
Yeah, for sure.
so, the lighting is all good now, Don?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I guess, does anybody else have anything right this minute?
No.
No? No?
No.
Okay, so we don't know who owns the screening. I don't know, I don't know how we.
I'm willing to bet it's the homeowner.
Yeah, I would guess that it's his homeowners. But it's on the property line.
The fence certainly looks like it's on the homeowner's property, and the shrubs are right on the line, it looks like.
I talked to Mr. Kubiak today, and he had an opinion about, the screening. I'm not sure you can, waive screening that doesn't, waive a screening when it doesn't belong to you. So, that's, Mr. Kubiak and I were talking about. He thought a 6-foot fence would be, a new 6-foot fence would be in order and shouldn't be too much to ask.
Next to their 6-foot fence?
Maybe just replace that one that's there. I looked at that fence tonight, it's not in the best of condition. The arborvitaes are really nice.
The fence is definitely, I'm looking at their survey now, the fence is definitely on the residential parcel. The bushes are arguably on the Hens parcel.
That's what Rob had alluded to before.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of the commercial property owner developer to produce and maintain the screening, so you certainly have the right to require that.
Okay. Heather, do you have anything? I don't. I wanna ask a Zoomer, but I don't think there is anybody. Chuck, any other thoughts?
No.
No? Josh?
No.
Mr. Sharp?
No.
Okay. All right,
For the preliminary plat, the item we're actually discussing, we have no comments on it.
all right. So, as of right now, we have 3 waivers. Stormwater out front, the screening,
There would
and what was
be,
the third one?
that's it. The signage, which
Signage, be reviewed later on,
prior to occupancy, yeah.
prior to occupancy? Okay. All right, and that'll be reviewed by you?
I would hope so, yeah.
Okay. All right, then I guess, what's the, thoughts of the commission regarding, a motion and the waivers? Or,
President,
yes,
Can you call for remonstrators? This is a
Oh.
public hearing for your primary
I'm sorry.
plat.
Mr. Halls, would you sit down one
Yep.
second? I'll ask for remonstrators. I always forget that. Are there any remonstrators for or against this one-lot subdivision, preliminary plat? Anyone? Is nobody zooming in anymore?
Nope.
It's over? Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
would you, deal with the waivers first before you go to the primary plat?
Okay,
Primary plat
All
is
right.
dependent upon the waivers.
all right. Thank you. Mr. Hulls? Would anyone like to, address the waivers? In a
Yeah,
motion.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. Don, if you said there's some arborvitaes to the south,
North.
what,
North.
or to the north, what is the distance, if additional arborvitaes were provided or needed to be provided from those trees south? And are the arborvitaes that are there on the personal or the resident land?
They appear to be on the Hens parcel,
Okay,
but the distance from the south edge of those to the south property boundary is like 134 feet.
I guess,
so it's all the way down to Harry-O's, if you will?
You don't have to be. I
Those arborvitaes that are there are about 8 feet tall. So a wall of arborvitaes in front of that fence, I guess, could be considered a
Screen,
screening.
yeah.
It'd be a lot of
As
arborvitae.
long as they're not 4 foot apart.
Well, right,
No.
I mean, they're gonna grow to be 4 foot in 3 years, that's the, you know, if you
Well,
buy the
then
traditional
We
one.
need screening, we want
Yeah.
screening now, not in 4 or 5 years.
Would the petitioner be, okay adding a fence along that area?
Or just where the arborvitae.
Yeah, south of the arborvitae?
How many feet is that, Don?
He said
100.
120?
130, darn it.
So basically a 6-foot privacy fence, just to,
130 feet, give or take.
And that's basically replacing the existing fence that's there. You're not asking to go
Or just
all the way and
put it
where
right
the
in front.
arb,
Just north and south.
it sounds like,
Yeah,
not east
the
and west,
recommendation was to put it in front of it, just so it's uniform.
Put another one.
So that way, that homeowner
I-
could theoretically tear down his fence, cause it looks like it was in pretty bad shape.
It would be,
That would be,
it would be nice if, the homeowner was contacted.
Almost.
So we don't have 2 fences that are, you know, yeah,
the arborvitae.
they do it in
would
Dyer
not-
along Calumet
this
Avenue.
is not dire, John.
It's hideous.
I mean, part of the
The
fence.
arborvitae that are existing would not be removed,
Correct.
Yeah,
and there would not be a fence in front of those, because
Correct.
traditionally you don't put a fence in the
Right.
front yard setback, which is
Yeah.
that's likely what those are there
yeah.
for.
And
Yeah.
they're very nicely placed.
Right.
They're very, very nice size there. It's nice.
Is there an option to place, continue the line of arbs in front of the existing fence? I'm just
I would
providing
think so.
some
Screening is screening, as long as it meets our, Rick
So-
and
so
As
Bill,
long
is
as,
that correct?
as long as they're the same size and they're the same distance apart right now.
As long as they meet
That-
they meet the screening requirements of the
As long as they meet
of
the screening
ordinance,
requirement,
which
that's all
would
we can really
Be
ask.
consistent with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives them an option of whether they want to replace the fence
Right.
or put the arbs there.
Yeah, the neighbor doesn't want to replace the fence on that same line, and we'll do ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm guessing by the condition of the fence that he would be more than happy to
Yeah,
let the fence go.
There's your fence.
all dependent.
I would just think we use it
Assumptions
as-
are just that, so.
I would think we
just-
just call it screening, and it would,
Yes,
they would get with the building department and make it meet what screening means.
yeah, I
Okay.
think that would
That's
be
the
good wording.
simplest thing. We don't need to micromanage screening, we have rules.
It needs to be at least 6 foot in height. It can be a vegetated screen, and our ordinance calls for that screen to be at least 50% evergreen. So if they do a whole row of arborvitae in front of that fence, they're gonna more than exceed our ordinance in terms of, screening.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, would anyone like to make a motion to the waivers?
I'd like to make a motion to the waivers of, waiving the, in lieu of fence and add screening to the west, that the petitioner continues to communicate with NDOT as discussed. Number 3, waive the replacement of the pipe, and per the letter from DVG dated April 21st, 2021, they would do the proper cleaning for the pipe, prior to occupancy, as well as, revise the signage and associated lighting, to be approved prior to the building permit being issued.
Sound good, Mr. Austin?
Close enough.
Okay.
Kubiak can administer that.
All right. Would anyone like to second it?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Foreman, second by Mr. Kapora. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Heather Dessau. Yes. Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkins.
Yes, motion carries. Item B, petitioner is requesting a final plat for a one-lot subdivision.
Jerry, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Now you can consider the,
Oh.
primary plat.
okay. All right, would someone like to make a motion regarding the,
Is it
preliminary
or final?
the preliminary plat?
No,
Yes,
known as
okay.
both.
Yeah. Would anyone like to make a motion on the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision?
So this is preliminary plat?
Yes.
You just acted on the waivers, now you
Okay.
just need to act on.
Okay, so we just weren't, I again would like to make a motion for, allow the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision, a favorable, recommendation,
Not a recommendation, John, this is
approval.
with the engineer's comments.
We have a motion by
Do we
Mr.
need to, Mr. Ashen, do we also need to reference the items that we just mentioned?
You know, the waivers will be in the record
Okay,
of this meeting, but you do need to,
so a motion to approve the preliminary plat for the one-lot subdivision,
include the engineer's,
including engineer's comments.
right.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Foreman,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Kapora. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessauer? Yes. Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item B, for
President. I'm sorry,
okay. I thought,
I did have a comment.
okay, go ahead.
This is, again, out of sequence. This was advertised, it didn't need to be advertised, there's no public hearing for a final plat. Although the ad, in this case, added. There's a 30-day time period between approval and signature, and your ordinance requires that wait to occur. You've waived it in the past on a rare occasion, it's not the norm. So, the final plat being a consideration tonight is solely in your discretion, but it's not normal.
So if you approve it, Mr. President, obviously you don't sign the plat for at least 30 days.
Okay.
It'll be held by staff, pending.
Got it.
But we can approve it tonight.
And that allows, and that would then allow them to continue on?
Basically,
Without any
it's not an
holdups?
agenda item on your
Yeah,
next
no,
meeting,
you
wouldn't have to come back.
It's off
meeting.
the agenda next month, and they don't have to come back for it.
Got it.
All right, item B, petitioners requesting a final plat for a one-lot subdivision. This is pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions about what Mr. Austin had said? No?
No.
Okay. All right, we have any remonstrators for or against this?
Not a public,
Not a public
okay,
hearing.
not a public hearing.
Anyone like to make a motion?
Hold on a second. With final plat, we do have a letter of credit with this for sidewalk placement. So what comes with that is your inspection fees and then the letter of credit itself. The inspection fee, 3% of the engineer's estimate of probable cost would be $260.40. The performance letter of credit will be $9,548.00.
And those need to be included in the motion?
Were they in your letter, Don?
Yes.
Okay,
So per the engineers.
for the engineer's letter of credit report. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I again would, make a motion, to approve the petitioner's request of a final plat for one-lot subdivision and, include the letter of credit that our town engineer just mentioned that pertains to sidewalk placement and various comments made.
We have a motion by Mr. Foreman. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the letter is dated, April 21st. There are a bunch of letters in there, Don. So the last one is the last.
April
reading.
21st.
April 21st.
I would be happy to
The
add
amend-
that
amend-
April
amend-
21 letter,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Note the amendment of April 21st to be added to the motion. Mr. Becker, second.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessauer? Yes. Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries. All right, property, same property, 13212 Wicker Avenue. Petitioner is requesting a site plan. Mr. Oliphant, you have anything?
Nothing that's already been said.
Everything's good. Okay, Mr. Austin?
Good.
Good. Mr. Hulls, you good?
Nothing more to add.
All right. All right, and, would anyone like to make a motion for,
You gonna ask the building department?
is the building department good?
Okay.
All right, okay, except we're missing two people from the building department. Okay, everybody's good. Would anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Becker would like to make a motion, to approve the site plan.
To approve, Mr. Becker?
Yep. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessauer? Yes. Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Gary Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, keep making that 41 quarter nice, guys. Keep it up. Buy some more buildings and fix those up as well.
That's,
We need all we can get fixed up.
I heard you bought the smoke shop. No, we don't. Okay, that's what I heard. I don't know, that's what I heard on the street today.
Bob hangs out on the street. He always hears stuff on the street.
No.
Mr. Hen, you're not having breakfast at the right place.
Yeah, apparently. We're walking on the right street.
All right, item, let's see.
Number 2.
Yeah, item number 2 here, Beacon Point, Cedar Lake LLC, Unit 5, final plat. Beacon Point LLC. State your name and address for the record, please.
Kevin Hunt, Schilling Development, on behalf of the petitioner, Beacon Point of Cedar Lake. This is up on our final plat for Unit 5. We will be asking for a deferral. We anticipated the road being finalized. It's not quite finalized yet.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion? Anybody have any questions about this item? Mr. Austin, you're good? Good. Don, you're good? Yep. Building Department?
We're good.
Bob, you're good?
Is this Beacon Point East?
West.
West?
West.
Okay.
No questions?
Nope. No.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion to defer this item?
I'll make a motion to defer till next month.
We have a motion by Mr. Kapoor for a deferral. Do we have a second?
Second.
That was in concert.
It's unanimous.
Yeah. We're gonna give this one to Bob.
There you go.
Okay, sure.
Good call, Jerry.
Sure, Jerry.
Hey, listen, he's leading the pledge all the time. I appreciate that. He keeps us in time. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kapoor, a second by Mr. Carnahan. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessauer? Yes. Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Jerry Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
One more.
One more, oh yes. Don't run off. Item 3, Beacon Point, Cedar Lake LLC, Unit 3, letter of credit.
Kevin Hunt, from Schilling Development on behalf of Beacon Point and Cedar Lake. This is up, our letter of credit for Unit 3 is expiring. We'll be asking that be rolled over to a maintenance letter of credit from a performance letter of credit. We did get the engineer's comments and started immediately working on some of those items, and we anticipate having the letter of credit for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So trying to not get too close to that May 13th deadline.
Yeah, we don't want you to get close to that either.
No.
We can get close. Everybody nervous, huh?
All right. Does anyone have any questions about any of this? Don, are you good with everything?
We have a couple remaining comments that
Uh-oh.
Kevin alluded to, primarily on the Parish Avenue widening section. So, I mean, they're small. The maintenance letter of credit would be in the amount of $51,110.89. Could more than cover the remainders. I don't know if they're gonna have time to get out and do this stuff or not. I don't know.
They'll work on it. I don't know how quickly we'll be able to get everything done.
Okay.
But
All right.
our superintendent was already put on notice to get this stuff completed.
Okay. If anyone would like to make a motion and include Don's comments, that would be great.
I would like to make a motion, Beacon Point of Cedar Lake LLC, Unit 3, letter of credit, with the April 20th, 2021, Christopher Burke Engineering letter being met, which mentions the $51,110.89.
John, what do you want done with that? What is the action?
A motion to allow it to be contingent upon being completed. I guess I do need to add
Move to
something here.
maintenance.
I'm not certain what you.
Move to make it a maintenance and/or 7 days before we would draw on it if it wasn't complete, I guess. I think we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
We have to add something to draw on it. If they, May 12th, May 13th gets here, it's too late. So 7 days prior, David?
7 days prior is fine, but how about to approve the request to convert performance to a maintenance bond in the amount of 51,000, or whatever Don's letter says, and, to authorize the pulling of the current letter of credit if within 7 days of expiration it is not completed and converted.
That'd be May 6th.
That one's a little trickier, John.
Yeah, it is.
than-
So, the motion should read, make a motion to change a letter of credit to a maintenance letter of credit, as built and reviewed and mentioned on the April 20th, 2021 letter. And if the items are not met by May 6th, the town would have the right to draw on that letter of credit to complete those tasks.
Not the items. No,
No.
if a
we're
new
gonna-
letter of credit's not, if the maintenance is not received by May 6th.
Which
Right,
would,
I don't, I can't guarantee that all these items will be completed by May 16th.
Well, then,
Yeah.
Who can?
well, there's a solution to that. You can go to the bank and extend the letter of credit a month.
but would we have to, Don, would we have to raise the maintenance letter of credit by an
No.
additional amount to cover all those items?
No.
Okay, I was under the impression if those were not complete, the maintenance letter of credit would need to be increased.
No.
Okay,
The 51,000 for the maintenance would more than cover the remaining items.
got it. So really, then
So
it's
this
just a matter of converting the letter of credit to a maintenance letter of credit per the April 20th letter.
And
By-
provided that the items that are contained within the requirements of the performance letter of credit have been met, subject to his letter.
I would add legal's comments just mentioned on the record into the motion.
Okay. Would anyone like to second that motion?
For just so I
Okay.
understand what the motion is, that we're asking that it be converted, and I know that we've already communicated with the bank to set up the maintenance letter of credit. Having it contingent upon the completion of all these items by a certain time frame likely won't work for us, but they would still remain subject to that maintenance letter of credit.
The things you're not gonna be able to complete, which apparently you're confessing is what's gonna happen, you're not gonna be able to complete the requirements for the plat that are subject to the performance letter of credit. The town needs to protect the completion of those plat letter of credit items. So the time period certain to extend the performance letter of credit is a solution for you, to us, that we are assured those costs for improvements, infrastructure improvements, which are the subject of that letter of credit, are made. The maintenance letter of credit is a different kind of surety and has different parameters.
And cannot be drawn from for incomplete items on
Well-
performance?
And that's
It would.
a discussion Don and I probably need to have across the room.
I mean, obviously the theory is if you don't have stuff completed by the end of performance, you extend it or you pull on it. But, I mean, these are rather minor items that are well less than what the maintenance letter of credit will be set at. I don't have an issue, and shillings aren't going anywhere. I have confidence they'll actually correct them. Having them correct them in 2 weeks is probably a bit of a stretch.
So
that's
you
the
would be
caveat.
okay converting it from your side of the fence,
With these items still hanging out, yes.
just based off the April 20th letter, converting it to a
But
maintenance letter of credit?
Once you do it, you also, and David's right, you run out of leverage to actually get them to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Performance is
So
performance,
it's a trust
and
thing.
Maintenance is maintenance, yeah.
and maintenance, yeah.
The non-legally binding trust issue at that point.
And we've relied on that performance. We heard tonight on the Hen plat that
Right.
the amount of performance surety is critical to the completion of those infrastructure items.
So then why aren't we just extending the performance bond for the amount of money that's necessary to cover these outstanding items?
It sounds like we are.
Because it's part of the ordinance, you can only drop it to 25%.
So it's as low as it can go?
It's as low as it can go right now.
Right.
But that number does, the maintenance letter of credit covers the items not yet completed in the performance.
It does.
So therefore, we're safe from a taxpayer standpoint.
So David, for the maintenance letter of credit, let me bring back a second. The $51,000 could be, the performance letter of credit could be extended at that amount, or is that a higher amount?
It'd be a higher amount.
Be a higher amount.
It'd be, I guess you could waive it.
Not waive, but you could waive your rules, because you have done that before, going from 25% to 10% for your performance letter of credit.
I haven't done that in a long time.
No.
Because I think that was the old ordinance, was 10%.
And, I don't think Don and his firm want to be guarantors to the town, so.
And it seems like an extension of the performance is where we need to be.
But at a different amount, Sheriff? A higher amount? Is that what?
Yeah, how long is it
It's,
gonna
well, the
take?
same amount.
What is
Well,
your
it'd be-
superintendent say
if-
it's gonna
That'd
take?
be 200,000, right? That's 25%.
Well, can't we make the 50 plus? Can't we apply that to the performance?
I mean,
Here,
the current,
we've got Jack at the podium.
the
Okay.
current one's around
Mr. Hulls,
125,000.
you have the floor.
Yeah, so, Jack Halls from DBG representing, here on behalf of, the petitioner. 25% maintenance, or the current letter of credit is in the neighborhood of $125,000, which far exceeds a 5x5 section of sidewalk, an aerator, these kinds of repairs, could likely be done for around $10,000. So it seems that a much smaller number would be in order than $125,000. I understand your point, and so, that's why if you would prefer not to go along with the recommendation of the engineer to just convert this to a maintenance letter of credit, that the amount be held of the 10% for a performance, letter of credit, and that's the number that would just be extended. That would also work, likely the bank has already been working through the finances of this thing, and they're prepared to prepare a bond for the 51,000, and so that would be the reason for that request.
So you're saying make it contingent on the 51,110.89 plus 12,500?
No, but we're asking one of two things: either accept the 51,000 in a maintenance letter of credit,
Right.
which will cover all of the items that are still outstanding and will provide you with surety for another 3 years.
Right.
Or, if you want to keep a performance bond until the items are entirely complete, then
Ask for a reduction.
we're asking for a reduction from 25% down to 10% for the performance letter of credit, which we will then provide to you for 6 months or whatever length of time it takes us to complete these things, and then we'll ask that be converted to maintenance.
What is your timeline on this, generally speaking?
I would say that they're paving at Beacon West, in the next couple of weeks. So many of these repairs are concrete and paving type repairs. Those could be done at that time. Installing the aerator, and I can't speak to, you know, what it takes to get an electrician out
Are
there.
we talking a month or two or 6 months?
No, I would say a month or two there's no intent to just let this linger. But they're not gonna have somebody come out just to do these things. They're gonna wanna do it in conjunction with other work, so.
Okay, so, Mr. Austin, other than the numbers, does this have any, legal ramifications?
I know it doesn't mean much to maybe anybody in this room, but me. A performance bond and a maintenance bond are two different bonds. They have two different sets of language in instruments, or surety, the Uniform Commercial Code quality. And I don't have a problem with some of what's been discussed, subject to those documents being incredibly tight and incredibly well-defined, related to the separate parts here. Frankly, the easiest way and the safest way for the town of Cedar Lake, I know you guys aren't gonna like this, they are my client. Safest thing is to request an extension for 60 days of the performance letter of credit, and it'll go away quick. I know about money sitting in a letter of credit and the cost of money. I get it, but it's your fifth phase of, this project, and you got 3 phases across the street, and you're right, they're not going away. So,
Okay.
saying those things to you, and we had an issue, it was an unfortunate issue in Monastery Wood South, in kind of a definition of usage, and it's a warranty type surety. That's what a maintenance is. It's primarily intended to be a warranty for repair and maintenance and, you know.
So I guess, to that point, Dave, I think I would like to, ask Don some further questions. As it relates to his review letter, are these items that have been installed and you have found to be, a warranty repair is warranted, or are these items that have not yet been?
These are all, well, cold joint hasn't been completed. The other 1, 2, and 4 are basically failures, warranty, what do you want to call that? Aeration has not been completed. So combine.
So it's a mixture. Yeah, it's stuff.
So, Mr. Austin, would an extension of the performance bond in the amount of 10% of the present performance bond,
Letter of credit.
or 10% of the letter of credit bond,
I wouldn't reduce it that much. What I would recommend is that you reduce it to that 51,000 number.
That's 10%.
yeah,
No, it's what, 125, isn't it?
That's 25.
That's 25.
That's what it's at right now.
Yeah.
Extend it to that, in that amount,
for 60 days.
yeah, 60 days, 90 days.
I'd like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
It's easier to administer, that's a fact. It's easier on staff, that's a fact. It's probably easier on you guys. You can't ban.
The easiest for us is to convert it to the maintenance letter of credit, because that's what we have in process, but,
Sure. There's 2 easies here.
yeah, so, and I understand that, and we will be back in front of everyone if there are issues, or there are problems getting these items done. We can't go away, we're not done with the whole project, so we have to be back. That's why I'd ask that it be converted to the maintenance letter of credit. As Jack noted, some of these are maintenance type items. There are only a couple lingering performance issues, so.
Yeah.
That's our.
What is the whole purpose of this tonight? To get some dollars back in your pocket from the letter of credit?
Well, to remove the letter of credit for the, it's essentially the reduction from the $125,000 performance letter of credit to the $51,000.
Yeah, so you wind up with basically
Well,
$5,000 back and that's what
Well,
you're attempting to,
yeah, that-
that's what you're attempting to
And
do
off-
tonight.
off
the
the maintenance.
Off the line.
time, and probably to start the maintenance time.
That's what you're trying to do tonight.
That is what it would do.
The clock starts.
So,
A different clock.
Right.
Yeah. So I think
there is
that-
there is a performance bond that is out, that is still in effect and valid through.
May 13th. May 13th.
Four,
Huh?
for unit four.
No, unit 4 expires in July or August.
So unit four, so pond aeration is the only, is the pond aeration and the cold crack on parish are the two items that are performance items. Those items are part of the entire project. You still have a performance bond for unit four. That those items, items carry over items into unit four, and the remaining items here are maintenance items, are warranty repairs, and so I think you could.
Well, I guess if we had some hard numbers and we were gonna sort out the 5 items,
I think unit four is, may have more than 25%.
Well, I think the easy solution would be to what David said, is to reduce the performance bond to the $51,110.89 and keep the, performance letter of credit up there. And then when you complete the items, come in for your maintenance. I think that's the easiest solution for, without having to write.
There's been so many possibilities been floating around, I don't really know what.
yeah,
That is my recommendation
Yeah.
for them.
And the 51,000?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the easiest solution without getting into a lot of legalese and
I agree.
everything else.
Bob, you have any questions about this? The building department have any questions about this? Okay.
It also follows our ordinance. That tracks most closely to our ordinance.
I'm always concerned about precedences
Right. And
here.
if need be,
And we see Jack a lot.
and I can come back at the May 5th meeting if that makes more sense. If we have some more finite details at that time.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
If, Mr. Ashen, if they were to move item number 2, the curb and gutters, and item number 5, the, aeration to unit 4, does that muddy our waters?
It does, depending upon how the bank handles the instruments. Those instruments are separate with they're different securities.
Okay.
For different
Yeah, let's not
collateral.
complicate this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the
All right.
fourth option is deferring it to the May 5th, making a special public meeting and reevaluating and see where they're at.
That'd be right at our deadline too.
Yeah, be ready your deadline.
Right. I would like to, Mr. Chairman, make a motion based off of our legal's advice of converting the, performance letter of credit into the maintenance letter of credit as mentioned per the letter, and extend the performance bond for an additional 60 days.
That is what I recommend.
No,
You can't do both.
I don't think that's
no.
right.
You
Re-
make
to
any motion
extend-
you
to
want.
extend-
That is what
I think Mr. Roshan.
Just saying,
he-
extend the performance bond,
Correct.
Extend the performance bond
thus start the
With-
maintenance in 60
with-
days.
with a different,
reduce
a different number,
About the
Reduce the amount
51,000. Yeah,
and extend.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I think I heard.
That would require a waiver from your subdivision ordinance.
I'm sorry?
That would require a waiver from your subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
Because you're reducing your performance bond down to 10% instead of the lowest 25% that the ordinance currently calls for.
You could do that tonight, so they know the direction that they need with the bank.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
That would make sense. And it's
So-
a good catch.
Waive the 25%
Good.
performance letter of credit to 10%.
So what,
Right.
This is the meeting in order to get to the bank.
so would anyone like to make a motion regarding the reduction of performance letter of credit? It's a waiver from 25% to 10%.
I'll make that motion,
Got
Jerry.
a motion by Mr. Sharp
I'll
to
second.
reduce it, second by Chuck. That is for the, performance letter of credit to be reduced from 25% to 10%. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Heather Dessauer. Yes. Chuck Becker.
Yes.
John Capora.
Yes.
Jerry Wilkins.
Yes. Okay, motion carries on the waiver.
Well,
Anyone
just to
li-
clarify for the minute, that number is $50,110.89.
51, okay, yeah.
51,000.
51,000, sorry.
51,000.
So,
So now the maintenance you're saying is not discussed tonight, right, Don?
No,
Okay.
this would replace it.
Okay, we can do that later, okay, okay.
Just to clarify, I'm not sure I heard the extension, the timeline for that.
It's usually for a year, so then you have to, sometimes, you know, and that's.
Yeah, that's actually to your advantage.
Yeah,
Give you some
yeah.
flexibility.
Okay.
Did you
Well, wait.
vote on a date that you're gonna pull?
no, we haven't done that. That was just for the waiver.
That's, yeah,
That was just for the waiver. So we need to vote on the timeline for the 10% that
7
we
days
just,
before the May 15th,
May 6th was a week.
Prior to your next.
or May 13th.
May 13th is the actual date, it would get,
Yeah.
yeah.
So May 6th would be 7 days before.
Yeah, we have a meeting on the 5th, we'll know the status. You need a motion. for that,
okay.
Jerry.
Would anyone like to make a motion to, we need a special public meeting to vote on this? That's a work session.
We can do it here now. If we go to that meeting on, the 5th, we'll have to add a special meeting portion
Yeah,
with one item.
Well, we can extend it now, right?
yeah.
We could do that.
The simplest thing, I think, is to extend it now, I mean,
Yeah.
why? Special meetings and then we gotta bring lunch in.
If the 10% bond is not provided
Yes,
by X date, you will pull the existing 25% bond.
by May 6th.
Wednesday, May 5th.
May
That's the motion.
5th or 6th?
May 5th is
May
the
5th.
night of your meeting.
So it'd be May, okay.
We wouldn't do
All right.
anything till the morning of the 6th.
So we're gonna need a piece of a special public meeting on May 5th. Would anyone like to make a motion on the, May 5th, the extension
I
of
thought
this
we were gonna do
performance?
that now.
We are. I'm looking for a motion to extend this.
But not for a special meeting, we're gonna do it tonight, the
No,
motion.
no, I'm at to vote on this on May 5th.
Why do you wanna vote on-
You don't
We don't
What's
need-
May
Oh,
5th?
you're right.
Yeah, well, if,
You're right.
Oh, it's
Okay,
Cinco de Mayo.
so
We vote on, no, we don't have to vote on it.
So the motion right now is May 5th deadline for the 10% reduction that we just waived,
It either has to be
From-
renewed by the bid,
renewed by the bid.
or you guys have authorized staff to pull them on the existing bond.
Correct.
So these items in the letter have to be completed? No.
Or we have continued surety.
So either there's a new bond in place, or you pull the existing.
We're
New
we
bond
need, we need a
10%.
we need a motion on the new performance, on the performance letter of credit extension of a May 5th deadline.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it.
So I'll make a motion that we extend the, 10% letter of credit.
No. You're authorized, this motion is to authorize staff to pull the performance letter of credit if same has not been extended or, presented in reduced form to this town. 10%.
By May 5th.
By May 5th.
I'll make a motion that the staff would have the authority to pull the performance bond if the maintenance letter of credit is not issued by,
If the
you stated, I'll say I made the motion.
performance letter of credit surety is not extended or presented in agreed reduced amount on or before May 5th, staff's authorized to pull on the current letter of credit surety.
Anybody have any questions about Mr. Austin's
No,
recommended
I make that
motion?
motion.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by John Capora, second by Chuck Becker. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Heather Delsour,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Capora,
Yes.
Jerry Wilkie.
Yes, motion carries.
For future reference, maybe if the descriptions, if we could add more detail in the descriptions, like this Beacon Point of Cedar Lake LLC Unit 3 letter of credit is all we have. However, we made one motion earlier for the waiver, so maybe we start trying to break those up perhaps.
We really didn't know about
Well, we
this.
didn't know about the waiver.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you're dealing with
That wasn't planned.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody named Jack brought that in the room.
Yeah,
Well, it's 'cause there's a reason, but.
okay. Clear as mud.
Yeah.
Clear as mud to me.
All right,
Ay, ay, ay.
turn the page.
Trying to get us out of here
Turn the
before,
page.
8 o'clock, but I guess that wasn't gonna be happening.
Be right, yeah, that's what come to find out.
Yes, yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, item 4, Summer Winds Commercial Letter of Credit. Do we have a representative for Summer Winds Commercial?
Jack Halls from DBG representing Summer Winds, Plaza, the project, there on Parish and 133rd. This project, the, items, required from the letter of credit, I believe are completed. There are a couple comments. I believe that many of these comments are, maintenance items. They're not items that are incomplete. And so we're requesting that, we convert the existing performance letter of credit to, which is at 25%, to, and maybe even be 100%. So actually, that is at 100% right now. Down to the 10%, maintenance letter of credit.
Okay, Mr. Austin, you have any comments at this time?
Not yet, but
Okay.
I'm sure they're coming.
Don?
Pretty similar
I
to
know-
what we
I know
just
that-
talked about.
Yeah, I
So-
know, yeah, this is, that's why I was kinda laughing before about, because I knew we were gonna turn the page. You have an extensive list of notes and comments that you and I discussed
I don't
today
know
on
what
the
the
phone.
extent is.
What is not finished?
Same thing, cold joints aren't, some of the signage and striping isn't completed, curb and gutter section is not completed. And then, well, there's no flags on the hydrants. All the other ones would be more maintenance-y type issues that were mainly public works comments. So, yeah, those would be your ones that haven't been completed.
So we're gonna move performance to maintenance, hypothetically.
Yes,
The things that now the Public Works has to take care of?
No,
Oh.
Public Works just does, it's just with any other subdivision, including Beacon Point, they do, infrastructure underground inspections. So they do the, some of the pipe testing, a lot of the manhole inspections, inside interior type stuff, so I get comments from them, put them with our comments, and they'll kinda go into a letter. That's how these, inspections go.
If those manholes, let's say that are leaking again, or let's say they were fine now, but they leak sometime in the next 3 years,
When it rains.
before this is turned into a maintenance, removed,
Yeah.
there is the maintenance released, those items would have to be fixed.
Okay. Now, the curb and gutter,
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It's about 70 feet, it's not a lot, but one side got put in, the other side didn't, so, odd.
I can't explain why.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense, other than, unless that's where the water main was.
right
Yeah,
on
maybe.
concrete.
No, I don't think that's the case.
It was the connection point of the
Right.
existing one.
Yeah, and maybe they just thought that that's where there was, the limits of their work was supposed to be,
Yeah.
so.
It's an oversight. I mean, again, the remaining items, their value is less than the 10%. They're probably more like 10 grand. 25, the 10% would be $25,752 and no cents.
So right now it's 250,000.
277, 110% normally. So, very similar, as Beacon Point 3.
I really, really, really don't like splitting these things up like this.
I agree, it should be treated how we just treated the other one.
Treated Heather, what Heather, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
We
you.
should treat this like we just treated Beacon.
And we've already made a motion to waive the thing, right, for the ordinance?
Well, we just.
On the last one.
We,
Do we have to make it for everything, or does that?
Yeah.
waive
Yeah, it's a different subject.
Okay.
it's a different subject, so we gotta do it again.
This one expires
Could
on
do
the
it again.
21st, it's a little later, but.
That would be acceptable.
But of course.
So
it
we
would.
could, I believe, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we could make a motion to approve this reduction contingent upon it being completed by 7 days prior, and if not, we pull on it. Or we could make a motion to extend the performance letter of credit. Either one would be probably sufficient. They have a couple extra weeks, so theoretically, they should be able to get these things completed, whereas the Beacon Point East was contingent on asphalt plants being open and them being ready to fix the things they need to fix.
Extending the letter of credit.
What would your
the-
customer like?
The substantial difference between this request and the previous request is that the previous request was already at 25%. This request is, you have 100% of the letter of credit.
Right.
In performance. That's $275,000 for $10,000 worth of repairs, which I agree with Heather that based on the precedent that would be, let's say, set tonight regarding these types of things, what we would ask is that you take the number of the 25,752 and you make that a performance letter of credit requirement, that if he doesn't provide that, so you'd waive your rules to 10% for performance, and we would provide a performance bond in that amount prior to the expiration of the current letter of credit, and that would have to be in place until these items are all complete, and then we can turn it into maintenance.
Exactly what you have. Like text.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did, right?
I wouldn't,
That's what we did with the last petition, and that's what I think we should.
Yes, Don.
I wouldn't start making this precedent, though. This would be outside of the norm. Your
This is only the
25%
second time of the last two, so is that a precedence or no?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times the developers know well in advance that it's expiring, and they know well in advance of what their requirements are to reduce it. So the more precedent you set something like this, the more people are gonna want items like this and not actually do stuff on
But
time.
we obviously have a problem. The problem is the time crunch that they put themselves in by not finishing.
Which isn't the town's problem.
I get that. So what amount of time is it gonna take, Jack? You didn't share that.
Well, and I'm gonna provide some feedback here, and I really think that this does need to be maybe separated. There are items both on this petition and on the previous petition, and Don's being reasonable, but I would suggest that there are items that have been done that could be considered a warranty repair, which is different than the work that is
Yeah,
undone.
to be completed.
And so there should be a separation of these matters in the reports that come back to you, because it appears that there are 10 items that are not done, and that is not the case.
So really
They
just
weren't
curb.
done right.
Huh?
They just weren't done right.
No, I mean, the fact that you've got a water valve that's leaking, that it could have been done completely right, and there could have been a little shift, and that seal broke, and nobody knew about it until they went out and did the inspections. They'll go out and fix it, it just takes time to get
You're saying that
out
could
there
be a
to do it.
maintenance item.
What was that?
You're saying that's like a maintenance item.
I would say that's a maintenance item. Don would have that same comment in 3 years if it's leaking then, so.
But my interpretation of it is that we are in the business of accepting things in 100% working order, not 90%.
Yeah, and that's long been the issue is that, when you make when it has to be fixed for, like, a pavement crack, he goes out and inspects pavement cracks, to convert from
We push that.
Performance to maintenance.
and then we go back out and look for cracks again.
At the end of
at
3 years.
maintenance. Let's just to fix them once, right before we do maintenance. That's the most cost-effective time to do it, makes sense. There's gonna be more cracks in 3 years for sure. So let's fix it once.
I would agree with you on all these items on here, except the one, that is the curb and gutters to be poured,
Oh,
but
yeah,
the guy's
and
a
that's-
concrete guy for a
and I-
living, so
I-
we know he'll do that.
That's
Right.
why I'm requesting consideration similar to what we had on the previous petition.
Right.
Tonight, I'm not asking for you to convert this to maintenance. I think in light of all the conversations we've had tonight, that's not really a reasonable request. But holding $275,000 for 7 feet of curb
Right.
does seem a little much. So, that's what we're asking for.
And the value of that is how much?
$20 a foot, $25 a foot, times 10.
70.
It's maybe,
We have it at
7 feet,
$70.
right?
you know, so that curb is,
70.
Okay.
So it's $1,000,
yeah, that's,
$1,000.
yeah. So, I mean, really, we're talking kind of small stuff, and I think that's the reason why Don made the recommendation that this could be just maintenance, because
Could be
it's such
maintenance,
small
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But in light of the conversation, want to be sensitive to
Well,
what you guys are.
and it's not about the name on the paper. It's about the next name on the paper,
So,
who
Understand
doesn't
that.
finish it,
Understand
and then
Yeah.
it becomes staff's, not only their issue, but it becomes Public Works' problem.
For sure.
so,
for sure.
so
And that-
really,
I mean,
the item tonight that was to be on the agenda, item number 4, it says Summer Winds Commercial LOC. So it should have been Summer Winds Commercial Letter of Credit converted to Maintenance Letter of Credit. That was the true request that you guys are asking for, right? Initially.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
that's in the second sentence of Don's letter. It says it is requesting that the performance letter of credit be rolled or converted into a maintenance letter of credit. So that's
Right.
what our request was.
Right, but yeah.
He's looking at the agenda.
I'm just looking at the
No.
agenda,
Oh,
trying
okay.
to,
Okay.
Yeah. Heather, do you have any questions about any of this right now?
I don't.
Okay,
Thank
right.
you.
Mr. Becker,
No.
any thoughts? Mr. Carnahan, any thoughts?
No.
Okay. Billing Department, any thoughts? No? Mr. Sheriff,
No.
what about you, John?
No,
No. This is a horrible precedent to set. So right now, the request is to waive the 25% and make it 10%, just like before,
and keep it a performance letter of credit.
and keep it performance letter
Right.
of credit.
Thus, the clock for maintenance doesn't start ticking yet.
Okay.
Now, if we do extend it, then they come back in 30 days and fix, they can then reapply, right, Mr. Eberly? To reduce it then, or do they have to
No,
wait
then,
the full year?
then we would just.
Just convert it automatically? Okay.
Right.
No,
Not,
the vote.
well, it'd be it
It
would be
still
a
comes to the plan
motion.
commission.
It'd
Performance
be a
of the
motion,
maintenance
it would be
is
a
vote.
separate instrument
vote.
that
Yeah,
would
yeah.
come
Right.
to
But the
you.
request will be to convert.
Yes,
from
correct.
performance
Yeah.
to
Yes.
maintenance.
I mean, can they not get this done in 3 weeks? You guys have 7 days before the 21st?
It's very possible. And
That's what I
prob-
think.
That may happen. So really, all you're doing is, you're saying, it's up to you guys what you wanna do. You have a choice. You can complete all this and convert to maintenance. Or, if you don't get these items completed,
We're gonna draw,
you're gonna draw.
right.
Or, what we're asking for is that you consider, if we don't get these things done, and we provide you a 10% performance bond, that will get you another year.
Are you,
And it-
are you willing to commit on a completion date?
I,
For this-
I'm,
for
I
this- for this-
personally am
for this-
not, I'm
for this
I'm not the
waiver?
contractor, I can't tell you when this work's gonna be complete.
Because as was mentioned before, from the east side of the room here, there's leverage when we're in these money categories.
When you're
For
still.
getting, for getting things
I'm-
done.
I would say 25,000, when you have $1,000 worth of work that needs to be done, is still leverage. You know,
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to extend the performance letter of credit to 10% of its current value,
We have we
to
have
stay
wa-
consistent with our prior.
We gotta waive
We gotta waive
25 to
that.
10 first.
Gotta waive the
like we did
performance
before.
letter.
Waive the
20
reduction of.
Yeah, yeah.
Waive, yeah, we're waiving the 25% reduction to 10.
Yeah, correct, like we did before.
Is that your motion?
So I'd like to make the motion to waive the 25% reduction to 10%. And, or let's just do it once. I'd like to make a motion to waive the 25% reduction to 10%
Okay, we have a motion
on
by
the
Mr. Foreman.
LOC.
Don, what's numbers attached to that?
25,752.
Yep. 25,752, that's correct.
25,752, okay.
60, wasn't it?
No, 00.
Oh, you, oh,
Or
sorry.
no,
that was
it is
okay.
60. You're right, it's 60.
25,752.
60. He is the most sense guy in the room.
We're good.
No, you're right. It's wrong on the
Not
letter.
gonna fight about 60 cents.
Okay, so we have a motion by.
Behind it. I
We have a
missed the 6.
We got a motion by Mr. Foreman to
Second.
waive the 25% to 10%
I'll second.
to,
25,000.
25,752, 60 cents. And a second motion, motion by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessau?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Jerry Wilking?
Yes, motion carries.
When is the date that this one expires? Is it
May
21st.
May
the
21st.
21st? And your next meeting is?
13th?
No, the fifth and the 19th, right, Dave?
It's in the 19th.
5th and
Do you-
19th.
So will you want to pull on it before the 19th?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think we'd have to,
7 days before the 19th.
yeah. Well, yeah, the 21st, but 7 days. So yes, basically, you're right.
Okay,
You might want to make that motion then.
Yeah.
okay.
Is this one Dave has to?
Okay.
Come sit up here.
Is that right?
Okay, we need a motion, to
Not
pull,
actually
to
acting as a
pull on
client
the,
there, but-
extended and reduced letter of credit for Summer Winds. And it was going to be, the, pull date was May 14th. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, what he said, so move.
Got a, motion by John Capora, second.
Chuck made it.
Chuck, sorry, Chuck.
Second.
Yeah, Chuck seconded. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Heather Dessau?
Yes.
Chuck Becker?
Yes.
John Capora?
Yes.
Jerry Wilking?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much for considering those things tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for our attorney. Is it allowable for our planning department to converse with our town engineer and make recommendations to us on behalf of our building department for subject matter such as we just discussed?
What they do.
Okay,
We do.
very good.
Yeah.
So maybe just to clarify in the future, a little more clarity on the agenda would help us probably, so that's all.
Okay. Item number 5, resolution number 2021, Planning Commission Rules and Regulations.
That'll be a May agenda item, Mr. Chairman,
May agenda item, okay?
the May 19th meeting.
All right. Okay. Next page, update items, Rose Garden Estates Water Main Extension. Don, is that, finally dialed in?
It is. I believe it's gonna be on the next council agenda for approval.
Okay, so it's good?
Okay.
Acceptance, okay,
Documents are in here.
all right. Item number 2, an update item, zoning ordinance amendments.
Yes, Mr. President, I promised you that I would have a draft of that document by, late this week. It's here, I've got 4 paper copies of it, in case anybody wants a hard copy. I was assuming some of you might, and others of you will be comfortable with the electronic version, which I can email out in the morning. I wanted to just pass, a couple of things out so that you are aware of, the editing process that I'm going through. I don't plan to go through these items tonight, I just want to give you the document. And as we discussed at the last meeting, give you several weeks to look at this. But this sheet that I'm handing out here, just as an example of the way it's being edited. The items that I'm proposing to get rid of, you'll see in strike-through text. And there's an example of that on here. The items that I'm planning to add are in bolded, highlighted, and bolded, underlined, and italicized text, so you know what I'm proposing to add. Can I add in here? Oh, I'm sorry. Right there? Thank you.
There is a small typo, guys, Jill and
Well,
Rick, on the item number 2. You have 8,000 written out, but then it says 10,000 still in parentheses.
Yeah.
So that's what it was, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. And then whatever you see in red font is what particularly I'd like to discuss with you or get some comments
I see.
from you on. So
Okay.
that's just there for an example of what that is about. I believe David started, to create a chart of uses, allowable uses in each of the zoning districts, which can replace the list of allowable uses that's in the current document, even the one that you have that I'm handing out to you tonight. I like that better because it's all in one place, and then you can remove the text and reduce the size of the document if you just have a chart like this, as opposed to listing all of the uses in the various zoning districts. I think this is more concise, easier for the staff to read as well and to interpret. So I like the work that, I think Rex was doing that for you, Dave, back in the day. Yep. But he's got, there's 10 pages to that document. I'm just giving you the first page. So you can see what I'd like to do with that, as opposed to, again, listing every use in the R1 district and the R2.
I do have a question. Anything B3 that exists right now exists. Any change of that use needs a visit to the BZA, correct?
No.
No.
If you're a B3 use and you're a B3 zoning district and you change from one B3 use to another B3 use, you don't need BZA approval for that.
What needed to come to the BZA all the time?
Industrial.
Special use?
Industrial, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
industrial does that, and I'm proposing that we stop doing that and do it the same way we're doing with all the other zoning districts. We have a list of allowable uses in each zoning district. I believe that's what should determine what goes in those districts, and I don't know why we treat industrial different than we treat all the other zoning districts. Now, I know Dave did give an explanation.
We'll have a healthy debate on this. I'm of the opposite school, and there are reasons for it that are really surface or like.
Yeah, industrial though just is such a broad statement. I mean, it's a word, it means, who knows what it means? Somebody could be building rocket ships.
No, I understand, but you would define the use. You would create a list of uses that you're comfortable with in an M1.
And maybe, David, the word new industrial park would allow for it, however, existing would not. You know what I mean?
You know, that.
Because this new industrial park on 41, we don't want every one of those people having to come ask for permission. That would defeat the whole purpose.
Industrial park on 41.
Yeah, the proposed.
CLBV South that was
That is a possibility, for sure.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, I get what you're saying, I get what he's saying. I think we can find a happy medium when the time comes for discussion.
But wait, business park and industrial park are two different things, aren't they?
It depends. It depends on intensity. It depends on nature of the use. You know, there's a lot of compatibility, but sometimes there's not.
Yeah.
And this is a real careful point at this point in time in our history and the transition of our community.
You're talking about the vacant land on the east side of 41.
Yeah, south of Hens, the old Michich
28 acres.
farm next to your,
That's considered industrial?
Well, again, the PUD request before you,
I'm calling it an industrial park, Jerry. It's really probably a business park, but it's,
Yeah. I think
a
that's what-
person could build a wood shop, make cabinets.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, that's not industrial.
Right, it's a fine line, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
No, I see.
If you run a
A
truck,
fab shop.
if you
Is
run,
a fab shop industrial?
depends on what you're.
We have one in our
Metal
industrial
fabricating
park
would
now.
Well, we do, we have the one behind Casey's.
Right.
And they run 2 shifts back there.
No, I'm talking farther down, there's a
Way
fab
back.
shop, we got the little electrical shop. So that's, do you call that industrial, or do you call it business park? I call
I
it
think
both.
it's business,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
who among you would prefer the hard copy? I was counting on you, John.
Have you got large font?
Well, I can tell you, the one item on here, number
How about
5,
just a bigger
the
piece of
rear
paper?
yard, that is the best thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you have a 200-foot lot, you gotta have a 50-foot backyard, right?
Just waiting for your house.
Yeah, right?
Wait a
Addition.
couple months. Wait a couple months.
Addition, yeah.
Little shrink the rear yard from like 43 to 30.
I'll take one.
I ain't living there.
Does this include all
You get a
the,
bigger addition that
We're
way.
just going to get the permit.
do you have a list of the, what I refer to as the fast and dirty things that we can whip through at a meeting in the near future?
Mhm.
Those
I
changes
told you
that
it
we
was gonna
all
change.
Yeah.
said, yeah, that's gotta go, that's
Yeah,
gotta
those are
go.
all,
Okay, all right. Okay.
and John, electronic okay with you?
It's perfect, yeah, I prefer
I'll
it.
pick it up I can get it Friday.
Single-sided copies, the rest of you have double-sided.
Oh, sure, he's a special one.
For all your notes, Jerry.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna get a red pen.
There you go. I know where to find one.
Listen, these couple.
Yeah, you see that couple.
I know where they're all at, they're all in Crown Point.
One thing, and I don't want to debate this tonight, I just want to give it to you, food for thought.
Okay,
We've had this
but you're
discussion.
opening the door.
I'm ready.
We've had this discussion about legacy lots and how to treat existing older sections of town that were built before it was even a town. And they
Existing
don't
non-conforming.
our standards, some not even close. And we had 2 or 3, Jill, I think, right in a row of these, meets and bounds parcels that somebody wanted to add a garage to their residential property, Mr. Dust, and that created, he's on meets and bounds, that created the need for him to come in and plat his property. Platting his property resulted in the need for variances because now he wasn't gonna meet some setbacks and some sizes and things. The same thing with Mr. Fraze's, is it Altair, Dave, is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Mr. Fraze's business, just south of McDonald's. Yeah, so, I know a couple of council members at least have asked us to create something that is sensitive to those older areas, and allows them to redevelop or improve properties without, I'll just say, a whole lot of red tape.
Well, $5,000. The truth of the matter is, the guy building the garage, what's his last name, DeVries?
Dust.
Dust. Mr. Dust will have to do a civil engineered plat, survey, and it's gonna cost $5,000. So if you're building a $15,000, $20,000 garage, it's 25% of the cost of your building that we make people do. And we all have to do it, we've all done it, but it makes sense to try to, and the funny thing is sometimes people, like Mr. Weincoop said, he's pulled a permit for his same property to put a shed up, okay, and now he's being asked to go get a survey and a plat of record and change it from a meets and bounds. So if we really have given a permit in the past for a shed, don't you think we should still give a permit for a garage?
Well,
And not make people jump through hoops?
That's what I said, I don't wanna debate that.
Yeah, yeah,
tonight. I just wanna give you food for thought, because one of the things I do have in there as a proposal is that on such parcels, what I'm calling legacy lots that are meets and bounds parcels, if they're doing an accessory structure, a fence, a garage, a shed, a deck, they don't need to come for platting for those purposes. If they're enlarging their primary structure, they do. Now, currently, you do have to come for, if you're doing your garage, you do have to, or your house, you do have to come and plat the property. As I think Dave agrees with me, the law does not require us to require our residents to plat their property at all. We could grant permits on meets and bounds parcels all day long, but our ordinance does require that. And there's a reason for that I'd rather Dave explain than me if you want to.
Yeah, no, that was a
Well, what you-
modernization tool.
Well, exactly. Then you have somebody's garage on your property because nobody knows where the stakes are because nobody surveyed it.
Yeah.
It's gotta be platted, it's gotta be cleaned up. And your suggestion that you said is in here. You're proposing Mr. Dusk get to build a garage, but the building on 41, it doesn't fall under the same guidelines.
No, I didn't get to finish what I was saying. The primary structure, I'm proposing that a primary structure perhaps could be allowed to be enlarged by as much as 25% without going to a plat of subdivision process. Just a suggestion, food for thought, give it
I like
some
it.
thought, let's talk about that.
So if a person wants to add on to his or her house, and they're only going 25% more square footage, and it's clear that they're not near a property line.
Well, those are the,
What's
those.
clear, though?
But that's the
those-
trouble.
But
that's-
let's understand, you can get a plat of survey without having a plat of subdivision.
That's right.
You can, so you can get a location permit, a location survey, when Jack was here, there are
Boundary.
several,
Boundary survey.
boundary survey, yeah, Don would know. So there are several versions of what we typically call a plat of survey. Plat of survey is the most detailed, right, Don?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get a location survey, a location,
You can do location, you can do parts of,
Site plan.
yeah, you
Well,
can
I
do
think-
tons of different stuff.
I think then the other piece of that is, because John and I sit on the BZA, if, do you need the detailed survey or do you need the boundary survey based on what's there?
Right.
That has to start here in the building department.
Great question, Jerry, because,
Yep,
so
I
here's
agree.
an example of fence. You wanna put a fence on your property line,
Yeah.
plat a survey. So you know where that
Yeah.
boundary line is, but you can do that, Don, without a plat of subdivision, correct?
Yeah.
I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's an addition to a house and your house is set back 60 feet from the rear property line and you're adding 10 feet to your house,
Yeah.
you don't need a plat of survey for that. A boundary survey or whatever, the least,
Yeah,
and they're gonna be plus or minus a couple of feet anyway, right, Don, or
well,
less
it
than
should be
that?
less
I
than
think,
that.
I think with some of this legacy stuff though, there's already lot coverage issues.
There are, yeah,
And the 41 property that we're talking about, since it's now here,
yeah.
that is just a messy piece of land in general.
Mhm.
So to pick out that little piece that's got the mess around it and give it some variables, I'm not so sure is a great idea.
Okay.
But, sorry,
Yeah,
to
I
get back to this.
I understand. The other suggestion is that, and as Dave knows, in state law, I think it's like 712 or something, 3674, 712, something like that. It does allow for you to approve a lot of, a plat of subdivision without even having a public hearing, if you don't open a public way. So I'm not advocating that. It's a more simplified process. You can approve a one lot subdivision, and let's use Mr. Dust's property as an example. You could do that as a one lot subdivision without having a public hearing for it. You do have a public notice. Oddly enough, it's after the decision.
It's not only funky, it disregards the other requirements of the code that requires an improved property to front on a public way.
Right, but it is a simplified way of approving a plat of subdivision. It's just, and neither Dave nor I don't think, likes it.
So an example of that would be if somebody were to buy the monastery, the friary, and add some more homes.
Mhm.
That's an example of what you're talking about. You could add some more homes there.
That'd be a subdivision,
Yeah,
that'd be
you'd be
a full-blown subdivision.
Yeah, you do a full.
Okay.
I'm
That-
talking
that-
about, let's use Mr. Fraze on,
Okay.
or Dick Hen, it's Dick Hen's property.
Right,
It's meets and bounds parcel.
Right.
You could subdivide that, come before you and subdivide, has to get your approval.
yeah.
And you can do that because he's not opening a new public way. Route 41's already there.
Right, I got you.
Now, he will still need a lot variance there because he doesn't have the lot width. But he could come before you just at a meeting like this and say, you know, I'd like to plat this property. You approve it, then there has to be a public notice to interested parties, which we already define as adjacent property owners. So we'd have to send that out to them, letting them know that this decision was made. And that's what I find so ironic in law, Dave.
I'm waiting to challenge it.
You're sending notice out after you've made a decision.
Yeah. The due process is asked backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
somebody
is.
screwed up
But
something.
the law allows it.
Well-
So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I think this town though has so many pieces of those details that
It's hard.
Yeah.
it's tough.
It's
It's
tough.
tough. And, you know,
We are unique, for sure.
we also
We're
have,
not a platted, pre-planned
we
town.
we have a huge piece of property on the west side of the lake that's trying to get it together.
Yeah.
You know, in totality, and, residential, the business part of it, the 40 acres, I mean, that has to be looked at in detail, and,
Yeah.
it belongs here.
Yeah.
You've got Meyer Manor, which has 25-foot lot,
Yeah?
and if a house burns down, we need to let them build it exactly the same as what was there.
Well, that's another subject.
And this addresses that. I have some language in there that addresses and allows that potentially, if you're comfortable with it. And Don, thank you very much for the mapping you guys did for us. Don created a list of parcels that, are town-owned, a list of parcels that are under 5,000 square feet, a list of parcels under 5,000 square feet that are occupied, I believe. And Bob's exactly right. We've got what is it?
Meyer Manor.
Meyer Manor.
And Cedar Point.
Cedar Point Park.
The lots
Those
are
are two
30
biggest.
by 80, and they have individual homes on them.
We're
And
aware.
Heather, I know
We're
you're
aware.
familiar with that
My
too,
house
so- Yeah, so everybody knows that we have that.
Your garage is
Trying
bigger
to
than
figure out a way to allow, and those are platted, by the way, those are platted lots, those are lots of record. So trying to figure out a way for those folks in, like what Bob said, if somebody heaven forbid, loses their house to a fire, let's find a way for them to rebuild it without a lot of red tape.
And furthermore, if somebody wants to buy one of those cottages, tear it down and build a new cottage home, because they're a weekender, God bless them. You know,
But-
make it
Well,
easy
to
for them to
build-
be able to
Well, to build exactly
build
what's
within
there.
parameters. Yeah, on the
Yeah.
footprint.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
and in there, you'll see I've created some setback regulations. So what I'm saying is, if the property is vacant, then it would still have to be at least 5,000 square feet, 50 feet of frontage, 5,000 square feet, and have some setbacks. But if it's a single lot that is that small, 2,400 square feet, and has a house on it, let's find a way to let those folks rebuild that house, meeting some setback regulations. And I think I proposed 10-foot front and rear and 5-foot side yards or whatever. But that's just my first shot across the bow, and I just like for you to digest that and see what you think.
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting, rebuilding on a 35 by 80 lot is one thing, but in terms of modernization, that's probably not the greatest idea. So, you know, the balancing test that is gonna be here is how it's fair, but how it also encourages, it's an undersized lot, it's gonna be an undersized home. We have Cedar Point Park where we have folks come in here, we see it at the BZA, we have folks that live in there and know what goes on in there. Just difficult.
Yeah.
You know, if we're talking about quality of life and quality of place, sometimes regulations don't work to make that happen. Sometimes it's permitting continuity or perpetuity of something that isn't all that great.
Well, and that's why sitting on the BZA, as John and I do, you know, people get creative on these places, you know. That house in Cedar Point Park that what's 3 stories high down on the lake with the salt box roof on there. I mean,
Yeah,
he had
we
to get
the
creative.
BZA, especially because there was a little more guidance on requests that come in on these, legacy lots.
I guess speeding up the process to get to BZA may be of some benefit also. Because what is, if you do a BZA, there's law though, right?
There's
30
law.
days for this and legal, and all
I
that.
mean, we make most of our own policies, some statutory guidance and parameters, but
Yeah, I think the discouraging thing for any of that stuff, BZA, is how long it takes to do it, to get here. So, okay.
Yep, that's good stuff. I'm glad we're
right.
pursuing it.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else?
No, sir.
Anyone? Jill?
We're considering having, your work session start an hour earlier at your next meeting to discuss some of these,
Yep.
This discussion,
Good.
this discussion.
that still work for everyone?
I think it's
Would
good.
that work for everyone? We'll advertise.
Seems to,
At the
yep.
next
6
meeting?
PM?
Before the next
Heather, thank
6
you for-
o'clock for the next work,
May 5th,
2 weeks,
yeah.
2 weeks, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Does anybody know what this is for?
That was
I've been trying to
part of
figure this
Summer
out.
Wind.
Where's this at?
That was part of Summer Wind Plaza. Some of the stuff they haven't done.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right, got it. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Rick, I'll get you a hard copy.
Okay,
Have
thank
that
you.
ready
Huh?
tomorrow.
Yeah, Jared does that. Like, no, of course, he was in
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Okay.